I want to talk about something that um, I believe a broader understanding of could change the way we view a lot of the problems in society. And that's the concept of pendulums. As Vadim Zeland describes them in his book Reality Transurfing, they're the result of two, or according to the Bible, two or more people, but in reality transurfing, he describes it as groups of people thinking and feeling in a similar manner. It can be about any particular cause or any particular thing. It's just the act of people collectively thinking and feeling along a similar vein creates a energetic structure in the fabric of reality. And this structure takes the form of a pendulum in that it swings, and as it swings, you can be for or against the cause, but either side you find yourself on, you're giving your energy to this pendulum. And it's implied in reality transurfing that at a certain point, these energetic structures can become conscious. And it's that where I want to really dive in. So, with reality transurfing, as pendulums are described, it, you can attribute the term pendulum to essentially anything where two or more people pool thought power to create anything. So, companies that make lawn care, any business that you could think of, any particular genre, any movie studio, any movement, any country, any particular ideology, any religious philosophy. These are all examples of pendulums. And I'm not necessarily saying that all of them are conscious entities, but that's the potential that we deal with when we create these things. Now, in reality transurfing, it gets pretty interesting because Vadim Zeland talks about the type of influence that these energetic structures can have over people. How when you are trying to join any of these entities, there could be a certain type of ritual that you need to go through or initiation that you need to go through. Sometimes it'll take the form of different humiliation rituals. It could take the form of just onboard training. It's a wide variety. I want you to see the scale of these things so that you can begin to open your mind to just how vast these things are. And mind you, as we're having this conversation, don't fall into the trap that I fell into of, yes, they're everywhere, but don't start cultivating any fear towards them to the point where you start feeling the need to pull yourself out of all of the pendulums that you're attached to. Understand that it's a symbiotic relationship with these entities. And just like they take energy from us, we take energy from them too. And there's certain pendulums that you almost need to be attached to in order to be a productive member of society. But that doesn't change the fact that as a conscious being who knows who you are, you should be in control of what pendulums you're attached to. And you should know what pendulums are destructive for you and begin to take actions to remove yourself. So he talks about pendulums having an influence over people. And, after you join, there's rules that you need to follow in order to, be a part of the pendulum, be a part of the entity. And you may gain things like social status, favor. You may get things, rewards, money. Um, opportunities, benefits. There's all types of, ways that pendulums can can be beneficial to us. Um, and becoming the favorite of a pendulum is essentially how dreams come true in any particular field. Any master can be attributed as a favorite of a pendulum. That doesn't discount the years of work that they put in honing their craft. I'm not saying that at all, but they gave energy to a pendulum and they reaped their reward. You can see favorites at the heads of any organization, and you can see how their adherence to the rules of the pendulum allows them to maintain their status, their position. But should any particular favorite of any particular pendulum that they're attached to, any ideology, any government agency, any federal employee, any business owner, any religious leader, should they begin to deviate from the rules of the established pendulum, the pendulum can be quick to discredit, toss them out. We've seen stars go from, being at the top of their game to almost overnight gone, discredited, reputation tarnished. They did something that was against the rules of the pendulum. And as a result, it's like a spiritual thing. Through the use of the adherence, the pendulum attempts to continue to gain energy from the adherent, except this energy is of the opposite polarity to what they were used to at being the favorite. So it's a lot more negative, and it's a lot more destructive to them, but to the pendulum it's all the same. And that's the real danger with these pendulums. They don't care about us. They don't. As feeling souls who have to filter through emotions, we can grow to care for these entities. Think about our patriotism. Think about our loyalty to things like our families. And I'm not saying that any of that stuff is wrong. Yeah, take care of your families. Yeah, have some love for the place where you were born. There's nothing wrong with that. But the concept of it, think about that. How loyal is your country to you? How loyal is that entity of your country to you? How much is your life valued? Because I've served my country, so I feel qualified to speak on this. I've served my time, and I've reaped the benefits of that. So for me, that relationship was good. And that's just it. An understanding that these pendulums don't necessarily care about you. You can then evaluate it from a non-judgmental perspective. It doesn't matter what the ideology is. It doesn't matter what the political affiliation is. It doesn't matter what the religious organization is. It doesn't matter what the business is. We're just looking objectively at all of these things. When you understand that they're a symbiotic relationship and they're taking your energy, then you can question, what am I getting from this? And you can realize that you're talking about an energetic thought structure that may or may not be conscious. Doesn't change the fact that you should be getting something back, especially if you're putting out energy, because best believe, one way or another, the pendulum is going to get its energy from you. That or you will be tossed out. Try to fight the wave. I've tried. You will be tossed out. You will be tossed out. There are ways to fight a pendulum, but you can't do it as a singular soul trying to go up against a pendulum that has hundreds, thousands, however many souls as its adherents. That's not how we overcome this one. I'll make another video talking about the nuances of doing battle, air quotes, with pendulums, but your behavior in a pendulum, have you ever, a lot of people, especially in America, can relate to this, having a work persona in a home persona, a face, a mask that you put on when you have to be around certain people within a certain organization, within a certain affiliation, whatever the case may be, right? A certain way that you need to operate, a code that you need to follow. Those are the rules of the pendulum. Those rules are designed to get as much energy from its adherents as possible. Now, in the situation where that organization or that entity that is doing that is paying you out, handsomely, taking care of your family and the whole works, then yeah, you can consider that exchange to be worth it. But a lot of the times, the energy exchange isn't worth it. A lot of the times, these energy exchanges drain us. A lot of times, these energy exchanges pull us away from a potential lifeline that would have been in our best interest. And that's incredibly dangerous, especially if we all have a particular assignment and mission here. Especially if us fulfilling our particular assignment and mission here allows us to shine a light so bright that others can see, and we could potentially be a northern star for them, guiding them towards their star sector. Not someone that they necessarily view as like this deified person. No, it's about inspiring everybody. It's about showing everybody that we have the potential to rise above whatever perceived limitations that we have. And our dependence on these entities only keeps us trapped and drains of our time. So yeah, it's cool to use these entities to get to where you need to go to, but you got to understand that that's what you're doing, and not get caught up in the trap of, working that 9 to 5 for however long, dealing with certain groups because you feel a pull towards that social circle, or you feel like you don't know who you are outside of a particular social circle. Your unique assignment may call you to go out on your own, may call you to do your own thing. And when the time is right, the people who need to be there, they'll be there, because that's how this thing works. We are one. And when we begin to realize that, then we can start taking an objective look at all of the phenomena that can take place as a result of the fact that we occupy this space within this God mind. We talk about these things like the law of attraction, and all the conversations that I have on a day-to-day lets me know that people are ready for having conversations like this, where we talk about these things on a deeper level and we objectively look at what's really taking place in our world. The idea of these pendulums makes it so that, yeah, we can talk about secret organizations that potentially have their own agenda. We can talk about a potential world order and all of this kind of stuff, but we understand what the placebo, or what the double slit experiment showed us. So what happens when we believe that there's a group of people who are elite and they're going to stop any type of uprising? They have the power to stop you from realizing your full soul potential. What happens when you believe that? And it may not be that you believe it in that form, but the fact that you believe that there's somebody out there who has power over you, that's dangerous. That's a limitation that you placed on your thoughts. That's a shackle that you placed on yourself. But you're holding the keys. You can release yourself. You don't have to believe that shit. Don't let the concept of pendulum scare you. Don't let the concept of these energetic thought structures that can become conscious, and that may conjure up, terms like demons, angels, those are concepts that we can dive into in another video. But I do believe occasionally we've had interactions with energetic thought structures, and our interpretation of them was to call them an angel or a demon or whatever the case may be. I believe some channelings are channeling thought structure pendulums, or as Vadim Zeland later calls them, egregores, when they become conscious. It's a really fascinating and vast topic, the idea of pendulums. And when you just meditate on it for a bit and meditate on the pendulums that you're attached to, you'll see where you should redirect your energy. You'll see what you should remove from your field. You'll know what pendulums are draining you in a way that is not balanced for you. Now, I mentioned earlier, when I first learned about these pendulums, it put me into a state of crisis almost, because I saw them everywhere. I saw their influence everywhere. I saw them, the hands of pendulums in everything, and it's daunting. It was incredibly daunting. I tried thinking of, making videos like this, but the idea of the pendulums out there, it put me in a state of, just stasis. I wasn't moving. I was just stagnant. I was just there and trying to find a way to navigate without them. And I realized that's a no man's land. That's not where you want to be. That's not where you want to be. People talk about the ether, space of variations, the alternative space, underlying fabric of reality, dark matter. There's so many names attributed to that unseen realm where thoughts take form and where from which things come to be, right? But if you understand that this is a mental landscape, and pendulums essentially are the tools by which you will accomplish your dreams. So whatever dream you have, that's attached to a pendulum. So you'll never accomplish your dreams without a pendulum. At some point, you will need to be either a favorite of a pendulum or attached to a favorite of a pendulum to accomplish your dreams. It's the only way it works. Unless your dream is to be solo at the top of the Himalayas, just meditating. But even that's a pendulum. Our awareness of the unseen, our awareness of traversing through this space, that will help to direct our path. Our awareness of the things that we encounter as we're traversing through this space, it'll help direct our path. A no man's land is essentially like an infinite space filled with an infinite variety of pendulums, of which souls are swinging between multiple and doing different dances. Let's just think of everything as not a physical form, but an energetic form. And this is what's happening all over. And you start to detach yourself from them. So essentially, you're just free falling. And it's not like the pendulums aren't aware of you. It's not like other people aren't aware of you. And a strange thing happens when you begin to detach yourself from pendulums, and other people can see that you're detaching yourself from pendulums. It's an odd thing. You begin to notice that your connection to people isn't the same. Some people may think you're cocky. Some people may think that you're, full of yourself, or whatever the case may be. And it may just be that you're occupying the state, trying to bring something about, trying to crystallize something. And it takes you tuning out a lot. That may be it. So you pull yourself away from pendulums. Sometimes the thoughts that conjures for others. and put them in a destructive state towards you. That's just been something I've noticed, and maybe I'll go into detail on that in another video. But I just want to reiterate, you don't need to fear these pendulums. Yes, some pendulums have the power even to take your life, but you don't need to fear that. Understand, just as in any other concept that we talk about in regards to reality creation, the I am of you is still God. That doesn't mean that the I am of somebody else isn't. That doesn't mean that the I am of you is greater than somebody else. It's just an objective fact, okay? And if you understand that God resides within you, then you understand that the power within you is greater than anything you see outside of you. There is no pendulum that has power over you. Or, let's fill in the blank, there is no ideology, no governmental organization, no political affiliation, no business organization, no corporation, nothing that has power over you that you don't give. You understand where I'm going with this? You are a reflection of the divine. And as so, you are perfect, endued with all the creative power to place yourself in any state that you wish. And by law, the state that you occupy has to present itself. So, just keep in mind who you are, what you're capable of, where you're going. You'll be fine. I love you. I want to see the fullest expression of you. I hope this was a spark.